Welcome back, nail enthusiasts. As you saw in the thumbnail, today I'm going to show you how to do gel nails. This is my first time trying gel nails on my own, and so I'm starting off by pushing back my cuticles, as you can see with my cuticle pusher. The cuticle pusher is curved, so it does kind of go a little bit with the shape of your nail, so it's not completely flat. So I'm just doing that for all of my nails. This is part of the prepping process where you want to make sure you have no dead skin around the cuticle so that you don't get any lifting and your nails are safe and secure. This part of the video is in real time, so I did not speed anything up. Everything is just as I was doing it. So you guys can see I'm going a little bit slowly, and it looks like I'm being a little harsh, but I'm actually being very gentle with the cuticle area. And after I'm done doing that for all of the nails, I'm just going to start cleaning up that dead skin. So there's still some dead skin around the cuticle. I'm just going to nip that off with this cuticle nipper. You have to be very careful with a tool like this because they are pretty sharp. So I'm just gently going around my cuticle here and nipping away that dead skin. And I try to get as much as possible off with the nipper because it's just easier. It saves a little bit of filing time when you use the e-file. Because otherwise, let me tell y'all, that can take a lot of time just to prep the nail. So I just like to use the nipper. I know there's some states where you can't cut the cuticle like this. It's like a law that you have to follow based on the state that you live in, but I am just doing that here to save time. And I know y'all, I'm pretty slow. I mean, either way, I'm a pretty slow nail artist, so you know there's only so much time I can save, but I do try to follow the procedures like this, and I try to save as much time as I can, especially because of that, just the fact that I am a slow nail enthusiast, nail artist, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, it just helps me. So if you guys can see here, I am getting pretty close to the cuticle where the nail bed meets the skin. And it just takes a lot of practice. The first time I used this tool, I did cut myself a few times, so just be careful, but you will get the hang of it. Right here, I'm kind of pushing down a little gently on the skin, and then I'm nipping as I'm pushing down. So you could see there, I did get a good amount off. And I'm just going to keep going with that same process for all of the rest of the nails. So I'll kind of go over it a little more in detail here. I'm pushing down and then pushing in at the same time, if that makes sense. So I'm pushing down, pushing in, and nipping as I go. And I do want to add, you never want to pull a piece of dead skin off, like how it's kind of struggling to come off there. You never want to pull, you just want to keep nipping so that you don't create any kind of wound or cut or scrape in your skin. Because if you've been practicing nails, or if you've gotten your nails done before, I'm sure you've felt that pain in your cuticle whenever you start prepping the product, or the person that's doing your nails, when they add that primer on, you can feel the burn. So you don't want to cut yourself. I can't tell you guys how many times I've gone to a salon and they cut me and then they put that primer on, and oh my gosh, that pain just lingers for the rest of the day. So you want to make sure that you don't do that to yourself. That's actually one of the reasons why I started doing my own nails. So anyways, I'm done with the cuticle cutting. So it looks a little better now, but I'm gonna go in with my e-file here. I got this from Amazon. It's Hug Maple, and it actually is a touch screen. So you can see the settings there. You can adjust the speed, and today I'm using this e-bit file that I got from Young Nails. I actually got this on sale during Black Friday, I believe, last year. So I'm gonna put my speed all the way up, and I'm setting it to forward because I am right-handed. So since I'm right-handed, I'm putting it forward, and I'm gonna go in and start cleaning up the cuticle and getting off as much more dead skin as I possibly can. And I'm holding my e-file kind of like at an angle. So I'm going along with the curvature of my nail or the straightness of my nail bed, and as you can see, this drill is pretty powerful. And this little e-bit is definitely really powerful. It's one of my favorites for getting rid of the dead skin around the nail. It definitely does the job. So you can see here the dead skin is already starting to come off. And anything that stays, I don't really mess with when I'm using this e-bit because this e-bit is pretty powerful and I don't want to cut myself. So if there's any skin that's kind of lingering around, I go back in with my cuticle nipper and I just nip that off. But it does work really well. This is one of my favorite little e-bits, and it works really well. Haven't had any issues with it. It's super easy to use. The only thing I will say is that you need to be really careful because it's not curved. It's pretty much straight, you know, so at the top there's no protection, there's no bump to protect your skin, so just be careful. But here I did have a little bit of one of those lingering hangnails on the side. So I've just filed that off with this e-bit, and it does take me a little bit of time because I'm being gentle. I don't want to make it worse, but eventually it does just come right off. So I just do that for the rest of the nails, and I know you guys can see there's a lot of dead skin coming off. You can kind of see the dust, and I'm actually not going hard here. I'm just doing this very gently, so that just shows how strong this e-bit is. I really love it. And if you guys can get a dust collector, that's even better because you won't have all this dust flying around in the air, and it's actually not good to be inhaling any kind of dust. And I'll show you guys in a bit my dust collector. It's the Melody Susie dust collector I got from Amazon, and it's not a sponsored video, but I just wanted to show you guys because it is very helpful and affordable. And so I had a little bit of bulk from the acrylic that I had on prior to doing this, so I was just taking that off there, and then I'm going in on the pinky and doing the same thing. And I'll be making a separate video on how to use an e-file and in a drill bit because I know it's kind of complicated. When I first started using this type of machine, I was actually really scared, and it was a little bit nerve-wracking to get used to. So I will make a separate video about that for you guys. Those of you who are beginners, it is really helpful when you have more of a grip, no pun intended. So here I'm gonna go in with a smaller bit, and this one I actually got, I believe, from the Nail Art Boutique.com, and this one is super tiny, so it can get a little closer to the skin, and it's actually pretty safe to use close to the skin. It won't cut you or anything like that, unless of course you're, you know, using it really rough. But I'm just going very gently around the cuticle here just to get as much more dead skin off as possible. Of course you don't want to overdo it, but I'm just making sure that, you know, I didn't miss a beat here. So you guys can see I'm going in a circular motion again along with the curvature of my nail, and there still is a little bit of dead skin around there, so it's coming off, and I just keep doing that for the rest of my nails. I just want to make sure that the nail bed is completely clean so that we can apply the product safely without lifting, without any problems, without any kind of gunk in there. And sometimes we don't realize how much dead skin we actually have around the cuticle. Sometimes it's not as visible as like a piece of skin that's flaking off or something like that. So it's good to just kind of make sure that you go over it. And this does ensure that your hair doesn't get stuck in your nails when you run your fingers through your hair, stuff like that. It just is the best thing you can do for yourself. So I just keep going a little bit in a kind of a circular motion, holding my drill at an angle, and I'm getting a little bit more off of the edges there. So it's coming along. I promise once we're done with this, we can start with the dehydrator, the primer, all of that. The prepping process, believe it or not, is one of the best things and the most important parts of doing nails. So now I'm just cleansing my nails with a napkin and some rubbing alcohol. And this is also to make sure there's not any oil on the skin, there's no flakes or any kind of lint or dust. So once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go in with the nail dehydrator. And this one I got from Amazon. It's pretty good. I'm just doing that on my natural nail. You can put it over the product if you like. I did on some of my nails because some of the product was there and some of it wasn't. So I just wanted to make sure I got, covered all my bases. And when I talk about some of the primer or the product being on there, I'm talking about the product from the previous nail set that I had on, which I actually had an acrylic set on before this. So sorry guys, I was a little bit lazy about that here. But anyways, once I'm done doing that, I'm gonna go in with the Nail Prep Extra Bond primer, and that's from Mia Secret. I'm gonna apply this the same way, just on the natural nail bed, not too close to the cuticles, but you can put this on the product as well if you have a previous set that you didn't completely take off like I did. Don't be like me, guys, but it is what it is. So we're gonna go ahead and do that for the rest of the nails as I'm doing here. I try not to get close to the cuticle because it does spread out a little bit, so I get kind of close to the cuticle but not too much, because then it does spread out onto the skin. And I told you guys that I would show you these nail forms, and I did get these on Amazon as well. Most of my stuff I get on Amazon, guys. But anyways, I'm gonna take off that part from the back and post it here on the front so that I can provide a little bit of extra strength where I'm extending the nail. I like to do that because if you're making longer nails, it just helps for how the nail form bends. So I'm doing that. You can split it like I'm doing here and then apply it to the nail underneath your natural nail. It's harder to do it when you don't have much of a nail like I don't right here, but you just put it underneath as much as you can. You're gonna pinch it at the tip like I'm doing here, and then just stick it onto your finger. And then I am gonna push it up just a little bit because my nail bed is kind of wide, but I'm not trying to do super long nails, and I'm trying to do a little bit of a square shape. So I'm pushing it up a little bit. If you're doing this on a client, just be careful because you push it up like that, it could hurt your client. So just be careful how you apply these nail forms. You don't have to use these, obviously. You can use nail tips if you'd like. I just prefer to use forms. So whatever your preference is, it's not a big deal. Anyway, so I'm going to use this dual-sided brush that I got from Poochie's Nails, which is the nailartboutique.com, and I'm going to use this to apply the gel onto the nail. And for our gel today, I'm using the Clear Builder Gel from Poochie's Nails. This gel is pretty awesome. I actually like it a lot, and I'm just using the clear one because I can use it for any kind of nail style or nail design that I want to do in the future. But I did want to show you guys how I'm doing this for the very first time. So I've heard it's good to kind of play with the gel like this in the little tub or whatever you want to call it for a little bit, just so you can get the brush completely filled with the gel in between all the bristles and everything like that. So that's what I'm doing here. I don't know if I'm doing it right. We'll see what happens, but honestly guys, I don't really care if there's bubbles in my nails. So, but you know, if you guys do care about that, I will find out how we can get that fixed. But for now, I'm just doing this, and I'm wiping off the brush as I go so I can make sure all the product kind of gets through the bristles. So now I'm gonna go ahead and add the product onto the nail, and I'm getting right here in the center towards the cuticle, and this is how I've seen people do it. You kind of just float it around and get the shape of the nail, so you kind of try to mimic the shape of your nail as you're floating it across. And I do want to say this product is very tacky, so if you get it on your actual skin, then you are gonna get a little bit of tack. It almost feels like glue. If I could compare it to something, it would be glue. So that's how you know things are gonna stick to it. Yeah, so, but it's really cool. It's easy to work with. I like it. I wouldn't say I like it better than acrylic just yet. Maybe I just need to take the hang of it, or, you know, get the hang of it. But, you know, I'm learning, and I think so far so good. Can't be, you know, could be worse. I do want to say this is definitely a learning curve for me, because with acrylic, you kind of just place it on the nail. You place that bead down, and then you kind of just brush it toward the shape of, you know, whatever you're doing, square, coffin, or almond, whatever you're doing, you kind of just drag it. So this is definitely a little bit of a learning curve. You kind of like I said, you're floating it around, making sure that it's even all across and shaping at the same time. So that's kind of a little different, obviously, but I do like the fact that it doesn't have a smell. That's one thing I love, actually, because acrylic, you know, the monomer can smell really, really strong. It can actually stink up your whole house. So that I will say I do like about gel. So who knows, maybe if I start getting more used to it, I might, you know, start using it instead of acrylic. I just, you know, the smell is definitely not like a deal breaker for me for acrylic, but I really do like that. So I might actually start getting used to this. So I'm going to add a little bit more strength. I got a little bead like this. I don't know if you call them beads with gel. I'm gonna call them beads, but anyways, I'm gonna add a little bit more strength so that the nail is not so thin. So I'm going and adding just a little more product here, pushing it towards the cuticle, then dragging it across, and then pushing it again, and dragging it. So yeah, you kind of just have to repeat the same process, kind of look at the nail from different angles, and just keep going. So here's the status on the first nail. Obviously I had to add a little bit more strength on there, so lesson number 1, get a lot of gel for your thumb if you have a wide nail bed like I do. Not a lot obviously, but you know, it's not like you can't build up as you go, but it probably would save you some time, so lesson learned. But I'm gonna keep going. So I'm just looking at the nail from different angles to see how strong the center is, because these nails are not going to be too long, so I'm kind of building the apex and then, you know, building the center so it can have strength. So I put that nail in my UV LED lamp for about 60 seconds and this is how it looks. So I would say not too bad for the first time, but I'm gonna wipe it off with some alcohol, rubbing alcohol, so that I can wipe off that tacky layer on the top. I don't want any lint or dust sticking to the nail, so I'm gonna do that and then move on. Okay, so once I'm done with that, I'm gonna pick up a bigger bead and then I'm gonna put this one on the nail on my index finger, and I'm gonna start moving that one into place. So this one turned out to be a better size than what I started with on my thumb. So I started with a bigger bead and it's actually a little bit easier to maneuver. So that's lesson number 2. I'm kind of pushing it close to the cuticle. Again, you don't want it to be right on the cuticle, but it's gonna be like a hair's distance from the cuticle and the skin. And as you can see here, I'm starting to build a little bit of the length of the nail, and it's working out pretty well so far. So once I'm done with that, I'm gonna go ahead and cure in the lamp for about 60 seconds and then I'm popping off the nail form. So it did cure pretty well. I'm just gonna pull that off and see how the nail came out. Okay, so it's just missing a little bit of strength there at the top, so I'm gonna add a little bit there, kind of in the middle area. Again, I don't want my nails to break, so I'm adding strength there right in the center. So I just did the same thing for this nail, cured it, and then wiped off the tack with the alcohol. And I'm going with another bead for my middle finger. And I'm following the same process now for each nail, so I'm kind of pushing it towards the cuticle area. I got a bigger bead again this time, so it's a little bit easier to maneuver and make sure that it gets shaped correctly and all of that. So I'm just gonna continue and keep going. So at this point in the video, I'm gonna go ahead and speed up the video a little bit. I feel like, you know, this is pretty much the same process for each finger, so I'll just speed it up a little bit and we can go on to the next part. Alright, so that's pretty much how the nails are looking so far. So not too bad for the first time, if I do say so myself. They're alright, but we do gotta do some filing. So I'm gonna use this Melody Susie dust collector and kind of give you guys a little preview of another video that I'll be posting soon. And it's just gonna be a review on this dust collector, but for now I'm gonna kind of file at the top to make the nail surface even and smooth, and then we can get it ready for applying some color. And you know, you can customize whatever you want to do on the top, obviously. But I'm just gonna do something simple today. And so I'm using a safety bit that I got from Young Nails. I really love the safety bit. If you could see on the top, it kind of has that bump, so it can protect your finger from getting scraped. And you guys can check out my previous videos. I go a little in depth on this nail file that I have. Not the nail file, the e-file. So I go a little more in depth on the settings and everything. But anyways, I have this at the highest setting. So it's the highest speed, and I do have it in forward setting because I'm right-handed. So I did that for all of the nails, and then I'm gonna pick a color. I think today I'm just gonna go with a simple nude, just to, you know, make them a little colorful. But since this video was just pretty much a tutorial on gel nails, I'm not really worried too much about the design at this point, but I just wanted to show you guys, you know, it's okay to make mistakes as a beginner. It's okay to, you know, learn as you go. No one's perfect when they first start. So, you know, I feel like I got the hang of it, and I know you guys can too. And I hope this video really helped you guys to learn about how to do gel nails. It's not as scary as I thought it was going to be. I'm used to acrylic, so I was a little nervous at first, but yeah, I mean, I feel like I got the hang of it. So I think I really do like the gel nails. I like that there's no odor. That's my favorite part. And yeah, they're pretty easy. So, you know, don't be scared to do gel. Don't be scared to do different things. It's really just, you know, a learning process, and you can get the hang of it just like I did. So anyways, I'm gonna apply the top, the first coat, and I did 2 coats for each nail because this color from Gelin is a little sheer, which I like, but at the same time, you know, you need a little bit of extra coverage there. So I did 2 coats, and then I cured in my UV LED lamp for like about 2 minutes. And then I'm going in with the Poochie Snails Super Shine No Wipe Top Coat, and I'm gonna cure that in the lamp as well for about 2 minutes. So they came out okay. I did the, you know, the filing and the shaping a little bit off camera for the most part, but they came out pretty good. So once those are cured completely, I'm gonna file just a little bit more to get that crisp shape, and I'm not really using any special file this time because the shape is okay, but you can get some good nail files of, you know, 180 grit on Amazon. You can get some even, you know, Walmart and things like that, but this one is just a regular nail file. I'm just gonna shape the tip and make sure that it's nice and straight. I did choose to do square nails, so, you know, of course you can customize however you want to do yours. So once I'm done, I'm just dusting those off, and I'm gonna go in with some cuticle oil for a little self-care. And this one I got from, of course, you guessed it, Amazon. But it is really good. I love how this cuticle oil smells. It's honey and milk, and oh my gosh, it is amazing. So I'm just gonna put that on a couple of my fingers because it is very, very oily. So you can pretty much rub it in on all your fingers like I'm doing here. So this is the final look. I hope you guys liked this and found this video helpful. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe. If you did enjoy this video, check out my other videos. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you guys next time.